Hello, Ian here, Somerset News Network. Thought I'd give you an update on reform. They've got rid of Rupert Lowe. They've now got rid of another MP. Yeah, the one we don't know the name of, we never can remember. He has lost the whip. So Reform had 5 MPs to start with. They got rid of Rupert Lowe, which means they had 4. Then the lady one, and I can't remember her name, so they then went back to 5. But now they've lost one. So they've gone back to 4. And the reason? Business improprieties. I don't know what he did. They're not saying what he's done. But they said he hasn't gone through the reform vetting process before he became an MP. Well, the candidates at the last election, none of them went through a vetting process. Reform paid a PI company to do the vetting process for them. I think it was something like £80,000 they paid them. And they didn't do it because the company was linked to the Conservatives. Reform is owned by 2 people. Ali, the chairman, and Nigel Farage. They own the shares in Reform UK Limited. If you become a member, technically you become a shareholder of that company. That's the way I see it. You're not a member of a political party. Rupert Lowe tried to get the party to be a democratic party, to put the vote for leader out to the membership. And if there was a vote for leader and somebody challenged Nigel Farage, I think Nigel Farage would have won. I don't think that would have been a problem. I don't think Rupert Lowe wanted to be the party leader, but he was a good party spokesman and he said all the right things. Richard Tice is a good spokesman, and Nigel Farage is out on his own as a political operator. But the way Reform is operating, I was going to become a member before Rupert Lowe was ousted. I was going to become a member of Reform and talk about it on here, because I believe in what Reform is saying. But they seem to be in self-destruction. They got rid of Rupert Lowe, now they got rid of the other MP that I can never remember his name. And they were the 2 hardest working MPs they had. At the time when Rupert Lowe left, he put in 900 questions through Parliament, and the other one had done 600, way passing the other 3 members that they had. We got to, if Reform's going to make it, they've got to be able to take different people with different ideas. Like I've said before, the majority of ideas you've got to agree with. You've got to agree with being independent from the EU. That's it, full stop, which most do. You've got to agree to stop the boat people, illegal immigration, which is illegal, which is less than the Conservatives done and less than what the Labour's doing it. There are things that you can agree on. Less taxes, more money for people, they spend more, that helps business, therefore you get more money in VAT. Logic. That's what Ronald Reagan did in the States. That's what Trump is trying to do now in the States, and it's working. And we have to go down the same line if we're going to continue. If the government keeps spending and spending and then taxing us more and more, it's a spiral down, not a spiral up. And we've got to reverse that. And the only way to do that is to get rid of Labour. And the way Labour's going on at the moment, we don't know where they are. The backbenchers now have found out that they've got power by revolting on the PIP, the PIP payments in the reform bill that they were going to do on the welfare state, and they've got all the concessions, and instead of being a £5 million cut in PIP, it's going to cost them an extra £1 million. Brilliant, brilliant. You know, this is the way Labour works. Labour MPs have left and are forming another party who are pro-Hamas, anti-Jewish pro-Hamas, with Jeremy Corbyn. You know, they will be putting up candidates to the next election, and I think there will be more Labour MPs who think that if they go over to Jeremy Corbyn's new party, that they will stand more of a chance of being elected as a socialist than if they stay with Labour, because Labour is going to be wiped out like the Tories were. So you're going to have, at the next election, people aren't going to vote Labour because they've been stung too many times in the last year. How long Labour can hold on, I don't know. It's like nothing but a direct hit from a Zeppelin ray to move them. Starmer's got as much personality as a slug. Claire Rayner wants his job, but she don't want to be seen to be backstacking, so she backs him up. Rachel Reeves cries her eyes out in the chamber. And the stuff going behind the scenes is they said that it was the Speaker that spoke to her before she sat down, trying to deflect the main reason for it. That could have been the Deputy Prime Minister is also supposed to have spoken to her before Starmer came in and sat down. What's going behind the scenes? Don't know. We haven't been told. Now, Number 11 put a press release out saying that it was personal matters, private and personal. I reckon it's the infighting within the Labour Party. I reckon the backbenchers want her out and Starmer's backing her up. You know, you've got to... And it's happening in front of our eyes. Labour Party is in turmoil. It knows it's not going to win the general election. The Labour Party is waiting to see what's going to happen to the Conservatives. If they can get the Conservatives to collapse again and get some infighting there. They know Reform's going to do well, but now this other MP, Reform MP, has now left. Labour will be thinking, hang on a minute, this is good. We can now use Rupert Lowe and this other MP, Reform MP, that have been forced out as evidence that they're not fit to run the country. That's what they will be saying. Which means we, the people, are going to suffer from a government that might have been under Nigel Farage that has the right ideas. But if Reform can't manage its party with only 5 MPs, how are they going to manage if they get 150, 200 MPs? You know, you think about it. You're going to have principles. And it's like they're playing office politics live on television. You know, and it's us that's going to suffer. Because what it might mean is Labour are going to have 400 seats at the next election. But what might happen, my prediction at the moment, which will change as time goes on, is that Labour may have 150, 200 seats, but they will get more seats if they link up with the Liberal Democrats. Liberal Democrats linked up with the Conservatives to form a coalition, so Labour will link up with the Liberal Democrats, so the Liberal Democrats can then be in government again, which would give them the majority of MPs again. That's my prediction. I could be wrong, but at the moment, that's the way I'm thinking. Nigel Farage is going to take seats off of everybody. He's going to take Tory seats and he's going to take majority of Labour seats because people just ain't going to vote Labour. Labour are going the same way as the Conservatives. The problem is, how low is it going to go? That is the unknown question. I think reform needs to reform. Needs to start being democratic. Needs to bring people back into the fold that they've ousted. Ben Habib has gone. You know, Godfrey Bloom. He's a great guy. I like him. You know, and there's others as well. You know, how can a party lose so many people in such a short time? If Farage does get into number 10, and they do have enough, they say they got, I think it's what, 350 MPs? Maybe they get less than that, say they get 300. They then go into coalition with the Conservatives, which will make the Conservatives more conservative. That's also a possibility. But it's up to you to vote for who you think is the best person to look after the country. We've seen what the Conservatives do and we don't like it. We've seen what Labour can do in a year and we don't like it. We want them out as fast as possible. You know, if what they've done in a year is damaging the country, what are they going to do in another 4 years? I don't think the country can stand it. You know, and the only person we've got who can take over is Nigel. But we have Ben Habib's new party with Rupert Lowe. They're going to get more traction. They want time to go on so they can build a party. People will go to Reform from them. And they will also pick up people from Labour as well. How big it will go? Don't know. But if they start fighting the same seats, so you've got Ben Habib's new party and Reform on a constituency, that then splits. I don't really want to use the term right-wing vote, but the common sense vote, let's call it. You know, the common sense vote will then be split, because the common sense vote, people like me, aren't going to vote Tory, because we've had enough of them, and we definitely ain't going to vote Labour. So that will then leave us with Reform and the Ben Habib party, and I can't remember the name of it. But that's going to split us. Because my wife will vote Reform, because she likes Nigel Farage. I like Nigel Farage. But at the moment, I couldn't vote for him. They have to get their act together. You know, they're self-imploding at the moment. And at the moment, they should be growing. You know, it's not looking good. Anyway, Reform, as I've said before, has to reform. Then I tell you if I'm going to vote for Nigel Farage or not. You know, he's the only hope we've got, I'm afraid. But he's got to sort the party out. Anyway, Ian, bye-bye for now.